Up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's
The Bitchspot Report. Welcome to the Bitchspot Report, the conservative atheist podcast that's not afraid to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Every week, your hosts, Cephas and Mike, will take on the latest religious and political news and examine the world around us from a distinctly conservative and skeptical perspective. Join us now for this episode of the Bitchspot Report. It's 2014 and the Bitchspot Report podcast closes in on its first full year of broadcasting. This is episode 46, and this week we have special guest Jon Ownbey, who will be sitting in with us for the entire show. Welcome aboard, Jon.
Thank you very much.
So why don't you go ahead and tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and what you do, and we'll kind of go from there.
All right. Well, I am Jon Ownbey. What do? I am professionally a software developer. My hobbies are cycling, running, will be swimming soon if I don't drown myself. I've recently started a podcast called the Irreverent Skeptics podcast with Mike Bowler. We started a Google Plus community about 8 months ago, I think it was, that was kind of focused on a lot of different skeptical and atheist podcasts, and that had grown to where we started doing a weekly hangout, which is just video chatting on Google. And we started talking over time about doing an actual podcast, and now here we are. We're about to start publishing our first episodes. We have a website at irreverentskeptics.com. That's all I have to say about me.
Okay, well, we will have links to all of this on our show notes, so maybe we'll get some people over to you. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing pretty good, considering.
Considering?
Considering.
All right, so what's going wrong?
Well, it's just the weather here in the Midwest, and apparently it's moved on, but, people, it's just nuts. It took me 4 hours to drive across, Michigan, which normally takes me 4 hours.
So it took you the same amount of time?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. It normally takes me 4 hours. It took me 8 hours to get across Michigan.
That sucks.
Yeah, Indiana and Michigan the interstates were down to one lane, and everyone that was on the road was scared to death to be there. I was being careful and trying to stick to the plowed area, and it was just nuts. It was just insane, and everything that can go wrong did. There's just a few minor things. I forgot to pack a few things for my trip. Not a big deal, but it was like, oh man, I don't want to start off the new year like this.
Yeah, see, that's what happens when you take a vacation.
Yeah, no.
I have to say, I'm from Oklahoma City, and we don't really get much of what you would call winter weather here. It gets cold, and occasionally we get an inch or so of snow, and it's disastrous. I cannot imagine the kind of snow you put up with. It would freak me the hell out trying to drive in that. I don't even know if I'd try and drive across Michigan, the kind of weather you've had.
Yeah. Well, see, here, it's a nice and balmy 75 outside.
Yeah,
we never have to deal with that. Yes, I know. But that's why I live here, because I don't want to deal with any of that crap.
Wow, Monday, I looked at the thermometer, minus 17. That's not wind chill. That was the actual temperature, minus 17. Like, oh man, I'm definitely not, well, that was Monday. I decided to hold off, wait till Tuesday, thinking that the roads might be a little better. So
I'm guessing I'm not alone here in saying, fuck that.
Yep, not a chance.
Yeah.
If I want to go up and be in the snow, I just have to go up to Mountain High or, any of the local ski communities that are right outside my door. But I don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, it gets fun. And especially when when it gets this cold, you really can't clear, you can't get the ice off the roads. Salt doesn't work, nothing works. So it's like you're pretty much screwed until it warms up. But I'm seeing that the weather's supposed to get into the 30s. Later this week.
Get some sunscreen.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. Yeah, here at night, it doesn't even get down to the 30s most of the time.
Right.
I don't remember the last time it's been below 32 where I live. And I live pretty high up. The last time we got snow was like 2005 where I am, and it was only like maybe 2 inches, and that was it. I've seen 2 times in the last 14, 15 years where it snowed at all. So, I'm not moving back there. And I was born where you lived, Mike. I'm not going back ever. Sorry.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate wintertime, and I cannot stand the snow, and here I'm planning on moving up to Pennsylvania. I don't know what I'm thinking. It's gotta be about a girl, right?
Of course.
It's gotta be.
It's always about a girl.
Yep. So now you can sit around and bitch about what Mike goes through.
I have to find an alternate plan for getting places, because I already know I'm not the best driver in the world, and you put me on snow and ice, and I know I'm not a good driver, so I'm like, how's mass transit there? Thankfully, in Pittsburgh, where I'm hoping to move, it's pretty good. So I'm hoping the buses and trains will get me anywhere I need to go if it's shitty weather.
You hope the bus drivers are good drivers.
Well, even if they're not, at least the chances of it being a serious wreck where I'm injured or killed are pretty freaking low, and I don't have to pay for someone's car that gets destroyed in a wreck in a case like that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I wanted to bring this up because somebody suggested this. When we did our New Year's show, we didn't get a lot of response to our call for New Year's resolutions. And it was largely, I found out, because a lot of people just don't have the ability to record things. And I guess now that we do podcasts, we just figure everybody's got a headset and a microphone and can do whatever they want to do. And that's not necessarily the case. So I was actually thinking, and I had somebody suggest this to me, that maybe we ought to set up like a Google phone account where people can just get on their regular phone and call a number and leave messages, and maybe we can have people doing, questions or whatever on the phone. And that's something that a lot more people would have access to. What do you two think?
I'd say you could also try, since the majority of people have smartphones these days, you can just record a message on your phone and save it as an MP3 and email it into the show as well.
Yeah, well, we tried that, and unfortunately, we only had a couple of people who actually did it.
Maybe most people didn't realize that they could do that on their phone. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but I figured this is something that nobody has an excuse, because pretty much, and maybe I'm making an assumption here, and I could be wrong, but pretty much anybody out there nowadays that has a smartphone or just a cell phone, most of those people have free calling nationwide. So there's no place in the U.S., I mean, this may be a problem for some of our overseas listeners, I don't know, but there's no place in the U.S. where people really have an excuse to say, hey, I just can't ever call you because I can't afford the long distance charges. I can call any place. And so can most people.
Google Voice is easy to set up, and you can download the files when someone leaves a voicemail simply.
Yeah, so we might give that a shot, I think. I'll set it up in the next couple of weeks, I don't know. And, anybody who wants to try it out and send us some questions or comments or feedback or anything else on the show, that might be a fun thing to do, and we'll get those on the show. So did either of you have anything else to do before we got into the news? Okay, well, we'll be talking a bit later about Jon's latest project, the Irreverent Skeptics, so stay tuned. So anybody want to bitch about anything in particular, or we can just move on?
I'm done.
There wasn't much bitching, Mike. You have nothing else to complain about? Come on.
Yeah, I got nothing this week.
Really? It's a happy week for you guys. See, I'm the opposite. Last week I was thinking, man, I don't know if I'm gonna have anything to complain about, and I just got off work and I'm pissed off about work, and I'm all kinds of bitchy today. I work for a technology company who doesn't want to allow me to work remotely like some of our other employees for the most ridiculous of reasons, and I don't know, I'm just a little pissed off with that.
Yeah.
And technology in general just pisses me off these days. Nothing works like it's supposed to. Everything's fantastic and nothing fucking works.
Oh yeah, I have the same damn problem. Yesterday I had problems getting to any of my websites. And this happens kind of regularly, and I can't track down exactly where the damn problem is. I will call like my hosting company and they'll go, it's not our problem. I'll call my ISP. Oh, it's not our problem. Well, who the fuck's problem is it? Who do I yell at? Because it'll all just go completely offline for 6 or 8 hours.
I had that same kind of problem. Oh gosh, I want to say maybe 7 or 8 years ago, where my connection would just drop literally to a crawl. I mean, it was just like barely any data at all. And the internet provider would send a technician out, but the technician was a cable TV tech, and all that the technician that would come out would know what to do is reboot everything. Reboot your computer and reboot your router and your cable modem, and I would do that, and I did this over and over for months before it finally got escalated to, I don't know, whatever level tech it was that finally showed up and found the problem was in a junction box nearby, and it wasn't anything that jacking with the settings at home or the hardware at home would have fixed. Yeah, and it was just like, I had to do this, I had to call over and over again and explain, I've turned everything off, I've restarted everything. Yes, I understand this is the script you have, can you give me someone who knows something else to do?
Yeah,
it was very frustrating.
Yeah, I had the exact same problem when I was trying to fix this problem, because like I said, it happens occasionally, it'll go great for months and months and months, and then it'll fail. And I had it fail once where we almost couldn't do the show because I couldn't access any of the stories. But it'll fail. I will call them. They will run me through the stupid script. I will be 5 steps ahead of them. They'll go, well, let's see what's going on. Well, fuck you guys. I'll tell you exactly what server is having problems because I've already checked it out. I will tell you where your problem is. And they don't have a clue what I'm talking about. So just escalate me. Just keep escalating until I get to somebody who actually can think without reading a script. And then they'll go, well, there's nothing we can do. It's not our server. Well, who do I talk to fix this server? I don't know. You guys are stupid. Just find a way to route around it. I thought the way the web was set up was so that it routed around problems.
The way I tend to feel in those situations is, person that I'm talking to, I don't think you're the problem. Your company's system is a problem, and I know there's nothing you can do about it. I'm still frustrated. I have a problem with, on the weekends when we record Irreverent Skeptics podcast, when we would do the hangout, if I try and use my Wi-Fi here, the connection is shit. I have decent bandwidth here. My connection seems to be just fine, but I'm all pixelated and no one can hear me, so I have to plug in an Ethernet cable every single time we do the recording, and I don't understand it. I feel like I should understand it. I'm in that business, or somewhat in that business, and I still don't get it. I cannot figure out what the problem is, and it's just bullshit, damn it.
Oh, yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Well, it is. I mean, that's why I run completely on Ethernet. I don't do wireless at all, just because I know that can go out, and half the things in the house are run on Wi-Fi, and they have problems constantly. So I don't have problems. And I've got a ridiculously fast connection. I'm running like 75 down, 50 up.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, I can get more than that. I think right now I can get 100 down, and they're talking about 150 probably by summer. And I'm waiting for them to hit 200, but it's at the point right now where it's, okay, I can download a 5 gig file in about a minute and a half. I don't care. Whatever. You know, I'm really running into the limitations of the backbone. I can get as fast as they can send. They just can't send fast enough, and why should I pay for more bandwidth when I really can't make much use of it? But wait, hey, once the whole backbone is running at, 500 megabit or something, I'll be happy to upgrade again.
I'm hoping to get Google Fiber one of these days, because that is.
I've got Verizon Fios, and it's the nicest thing in the world.
I'm so jealous.
It's amazingly fast. And every time they turn around, I started out, when it was brand new, it came out at like 15 megabit down. Mm-hmm. Within 2 months, it was 25. Within 2 months, it was 50. I mean, they upgrade just at a constant rate. And the technology behind it, it can run at 300-400 megabit right now. They just have to keep upgrading their servers.
I feel like my performance these days, my internet performance, is worse than it was 5, 6, 7 years ago. Like, I feel like I'm regressing in my service. The numbers say that it's okay, but the service, the feel that I have, the impression I have is that, this kind of feels like it was back in 2005. Like, why is that? I don't understand why that is. It's irritating.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've been doing tech talk again. We do that a lot. Why do we do that a lot? I don't know.
Well, we are on the internet recording a show that's distributed on the internet.
That's true, and most of us are in the tech field, so I guess.
And there's that.
Then there's that. All right, well, let's go ahead and do some news. And now the news. A recent Pew Research Center study shows that Republicans are becoming more and more skeptical about the theory of evolution, especially whether or not humans evolved. Over the past 4 years, Democrats have increased their acceptance from 64 to 67%, but Republican acceptance has fallen from 54 to 43%. What the fuck is wrong with these people? Honestly.
They don't read books. I'm not sure why it has to be an argument anymore. My guess is that it's kind of a self-feeding loop of, you have politicians who may or may not be educated and know better, that it's not a question anymore, it's a scientific fact, but they play to an audience who, in one party in particular, it could certainly happen the other way around in a different case, but in this case, so you have a Republican politician playing to his party who tends to not want to believe in this thing, so they push this agenda that, this doesn't exist. This thing isn't real. And some news media, be it radio or television or internet, will feed on that and push that same thing, and so then you have these Republican Party members that say, hey, even these people that I respect, they say it doesn't exist, and my preacher at the church says it doesn't exist, so fuck science.
Yeah, but honestly, I think it feels like we're living in the dark ages. People are making this big thing out of, wow, 67% of Democrats accept this. I'm sorry, but 67% is a pathetic number. It's an absurd number. The number should be in the high 90s. This is reality, people. And these people are sitting around going, well, only 67% of our people believe this. Then 33% of your people are idiots.
It should be it should be in the high 90s for like across all parties, regardless of party lines. It should be 90+% across all of the citizens of the U.S.
And in most countries it is.
Right, yeah.
Hey, you there, Mike?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just kind of thinking about this a little bit because this country's been, these numbers don't surprise me. The United States has been this, we're still hanging on to this, this religion stuff. So many people, they're just hanging on. And certainly the creationists, they've been working hard, and it doesn't surprise me the numbers with the Republicans because that seems to be where all the religious nutcases wind up. But seeing the Democrats, a very small rise, that's actually more scary to me than, the Republicans. It's the backbone of their, or at least the religious part of that party is to press forward. Global warming doesn't exist, anything anti-science. And, but now the Democrats might, they can't seem to bring up their number. I think even this looks like the independents seem to be are doing better. Let's see, I'm just looking at the numbers. About the same as, so, the independents are doing only a point, but still, we're dealing with a country that it's still hanging on to this old religion, maybe not as bad as like South America, the Spanish speaking, where they're still, that's where the core Catholics, that's the core demographic. Here, I would think, even looking down at the, some of where the numbers are coming from by the demographic group, definitely we're seeing, like college grads, and some colleges are still, those numbers are up, high school or less. The numbers are lower. Let's see. And that doesn't surprise me. It's just lack of education, this kind of, the religious, this perpetual hammering of anything anti-science. And that's the Republican Party. They're the anti-science party.
Yeah, I agree with you. We act like we're so much better than the third world because we don't believe in witchcraft and all that other stuff. Although, let's be honest, we do believe in witchcraft in a lot of ways. I was
going to say, do we not?
Yeah. And then polls come out like this that just show we're no better than the third world. We're no better than Uganda and all these other people. In fact, it's U.S. religion that pushes all the anti-gay nonsense in Uganda, and we're going to put gay people to death in Uganda. This is why the Republicans are never going to win the White House again, which unfortunately is going to screw us up even more than we're already screwed up. Both parties are essentially anti-science, anti-reality. And I don't get that. Aren't we supposed to be improving?
I guess it depends on who you ask. I would say, thankfully we don't live in a society where you can have parts of your body cut off for, suppose someone says, oh, you're a witch, John's a warlock and he cast a spell on me, and some authoritative body believes that and hacks off my arms or something. I'm thankful I don't live in that kind of society, but certainly I live in Oklahoma City where recently there's talk of different religions wanting to put up monuments because there's a Ten Commandments monument going to be or already put up at the Capitol here. And yeah, we kind of do believe in witchcraft because there's a Satanist organization that wants to put up a Baphomet statue, and there's quite the row going on here in Oklahoma about it now. It's like, well, if we didn't believe in witches, then would we really even care if anyone did? Me personally, I don't give a shit. Put whatever you want up there. I don't drive by the Capitol, and I don't care what sits out in front of it myself. But obviously people do. People are very concerned about it, and it's quite the problem here, which isn't surprising. But it's like, it is like that's that old religion bullshit. It's like,
yeah, but what people don't
understand, Jesus, if that's not Jesus, we can't have it in front of our Capitol because Jesus, I guess.
Yeah, but what the problem is that nobody understands the whole reason they're doing this whole, Satanist statue and all that is because most people, most normal people, most rational people, they want nothing up there. They should have no representation of religion up at the Capitol at all. But the Christians can't get that through their tiny little heads. They want to have themselves and nobody else, and now they're pissed off because, holy crap, this Satanist group wants to do it. Well, what happens when, the flying spaghetti monster people want to do it? Are we going to put up Pastafarian statues?
There have been a few different monuments proposed. A Hindu monument and another, I don't remember what the other is, but yeah, there's been a number of them proposed. And so they put a moratorium on any displays or any monuments for the time being until they could figure something else out, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's the whole reason for putting it up in the first place, is so that they reconsider their position.
Right.
And getting back to this whole evolution thing, we get a lot of good signs. Ken Ham and his Ark Park is going out of business. He's off debating people, but, his Ark Park, if he doesn't get $29 million in, junk bonds sold before the beginning of next month, he goes out of business. And that's a great thing. And we should look at that as an advance. But then when you look at how little people actually accept reality and evolution and all this other stuff, and they still believe in that crap, what's this really say?
It does send a confusing message, or a confusing signal. I have to ask you guys, if it wasn't for the fact that paying to go see the Ark Park or the Creationist Museum would be supporting that organization, wouldn't you kind of want to go see it just to see how fucking crazy it has to be?
Not really. I mean, I don't go out and do any of the crazy crap. I just let them do what they're going to do, and I sit back and laugh at it. The only good thing would be go through with the video crew and take pictures and post it, and that way nobody has to go pay them or something.
Yeah, I'm not saying I don't want to go, people that go see it, I certainly wouldn't go mock anyone there. I'm not the type of person that wants to go watch crowds of people to make fun of people in a crowd. Just me, I would kind of like to see the craziness that would be the Creationist Museum in the Ark Park. I would just like to see how they presented that. I will let it go though, because like I said, I'm not going to support them by giving them money for such backwards anti-science.
Yeah, well, plus the fact there's enough of it online already where people have already gone through and taken pictures and video and all that we can just look at it and you don't have to actually stand in front of the craziness.
Absolutely.
I'm kind of afraid some of it might rub off or might be transmitted virally or something. I don't know.
Yeah, 'cause there's something.
Do they have shots for that?
Yeah, I would hope so. Yeah, it's called an education. It's something none of those people have. All right, well, you want to go on to your next story?
Yeah, let's go on to the next story.
Take it.
Monsignor William Lynn conviction reversed, raising questions about the justice system. This week's court decision that freed senior cleric in Philadelphia, who had been jailed for shielding an abusive priest, was a symbolic setback for victims' advocates, but one with substantial and discouraging message for their cause. None of the churchmen implicated in the cover-up during the worst decades of abuse will likely ever face charges. I know we talked about, what we talked about last week, or 2 weeks ago was that...
It's hard to keep up.
Yeah. This is scary. I mean, these guys are getting off. I don't know what the kind of technicalities... I mean, they hid these priests and condoned, enabled these priests to continue their abuse of children, and they're getting off. I mean, what's really going on here? This is up to post. There doesn't seem to be any, doesn't seem to be any real decent reason why these guys are being let go.
Well, because the reason is that the statute of limitations is run out usually by the time they're caught.
Right.
Like going back to Mahoney. We've talked about Mahoney plenty times. Most of the things that he did were early on in his career. And by the time that the lawsuit went through and they were forced to release all the records that proved that Mahoney was actively hiding pedophile priests, statute of limitations was up. He could no longer be prosecuted. And he'd already retired anyway. So they're not going to go after him. That's really the problem for most of these things. And my solution to it is increase the statute of limitations.
Or eliminate it altogether. I mean, I don't think...
Maybe a broader scope of prosecution. The Catholic Church kind of operates like a criminal cartel. They're systematic and organized in covering up criminal, morally reprehensible crimes, and they are not taken to task for it because they're the church, because they're religious. I mean, basically, it's like if you're an organized religion or a very revered celebrity, good sports coach, or an actor or a director who's very much revered, you kind of get a pass for diddling kids or covering it up, and that's just such fucking bullshit. It's total bullshit. There's not near enough aggressive prosecution of this kind of crime, and I don't want prosecution where there are leaps taken to skirt the law by any means. I don't want people convicted that aren't actually guilty of a crime. It seems like there's very lax investigation and prosecution of these things, and certainly there's a lot of cover-up. It's very obvious there's a lot of cover-up, and it's it really just sets the bile loose in me. I get so pissed off about that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think these people need to go to jail. In fact, I think anybody in any industry, not just religion, that knowingly protects or shields criminals, any criminals, they need to go to jail. But it's just been such an institutional thing in the Catholic Church, and everybody wants to overlook it. I've actually told stories before about, there was a case where a Catholic priest was guilty of murder, killed somebody, and he went to court, and nobody in the town would vote for him because they were all Catholic and they all believed that he could send them to hell. The police wouldn't do it because they were all Catholic, so they wouldn't prosecute. And they've got the proof that he did it. And this is like 30 years ago, and he's still just living free because nobody will do anything about it.
Well, again, that's kind of I get the modus operandi. I mean, the church, if they do find it, sometimes they'll try to brush it under the rug as best they can. Hey, catch the priest, they shuffle him off to some retreat or tell him to, like in California there, they told him to run to Mexico, make a deal with the parents to keep everything quiet and we'll pay you this, and no one's the wiser. And, the parents go along with it because, hey, it's my church, I gotta defend it, type of thing. And, I mean, there's like a culture that has built up here that needs to get tore down and saying, these priests are harming these kids. They're, if not physically, mentally damaging these children. And and that's kind of what my argument has always been, until the parishioners, everyone that, every Catholic decides, hey, this is wrong. We can't be protecting these priests anymore because I would think, and I think I've said this before, hey, if my weekly tithing to the church, 90% of it is going to pay off some lawsuit, it's not doing any good. Either clean this up or I'm out. And unfortunately, it's not going to happen, I don't think, until that culture breaks down.
If you're tithing at the church, you're also supporting that organization that will use that money to relocate child molesting, offending priests to somewhere else where, they'll get a slap on the wrist and be told, don't do that when we move you here. Okay, we moved you here. Now knock that shit off. So, I don't know. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, exactly. And they're also saying that the child welfare laws are just not strong enough in most places to actually allow them to go after the prosecution of the leadership in the church. So why don't we change the damn laws? I mean, there are some places where they've gone ahead and they've made the statute of limitations much longer, where they've actually made it less easy to hide these priests because they've actually made it illegal to shelter, hide, lie about, not turn in, etc., pedophile priests. But then you have all these people in the church who are defending these priests. We've done stories before where somebody will be caught, somebody will be prosecuted, somebody will be convicted, and you have huge numbers of their congregation coming out going, oh, it's so unfair that you're picking on our priest. Your priest is out there fucking little boys.
Yeah, and on that note, I tend to be pretty compassionate in my view of people and not much of one to throw judgment at people. But in this case, if you are a member of a church, especially if you're a parent of a kid who's molested by a priest, and not only do you not do anything about it, but you support that priest, go fuck yourself. Like, you do not deserve to live in this society if you will cover up something like that. Go fuck yourself is my official thought on that.
Well, not only just cover up it, but to support an individual. Well, to support any individual who's been convicted. Now, if I was still a religious person, and it's been a long, long time, but if I was in my church and I found out that my pastor had been out there diddling kids, my first response would not be to support my pastor. It would be, put this fucker in jail. Actually be string him up by his balls and we can go places from there. But I would never, ever, ever support this person. And I don't care how much I liked him. I don't care how much of a friend I am to them. I don't care how much I like their family. This person violated the trust not only of the church, but of all the people in the congregation by doing something that not only violated the law, but violated the religion. Why would I support this person? But there's so many people out there who do.
I suppose one could take the view of Priest Jones, for instance, is accused of having molested a child. Well, on the surface of that, to just suddenly say, well, run him out of town, be done with him, could be a little harsh if in fact it's a false accusation. Once, like in cases where, especially in cases where they're convicted, or once the facts become a little more clear and it's a little more obvious that, what's been alleged is actually a thing, to continue supporting someone like that is just beyond my capacity to understand. I don't get it at all.
But it happens all the time.
It does. It does.
It's so sad.
It happens in this case. It happens in the cases of families, in other institutions as well. It is so fucked up. That is just a problem. It is so fucked up in our society.
Yeah, and the congregation will come out and they'll support the priest, and then they'll try to run the family that got destroyed and their kids got molested. They'll try to run them out of the congregation and out of town. You're going and blaming the victim.
Yeah, I was going to say, it almost sounds like those stories you hear about, you're a rape victim in this third world country, and now suddenly you're guilty of being a rape victim. Yeah, isn't that kind of what happens here in America, in the first world country? If you're a victim of rape of a Catholic priest, like, oh, it's your own fucking fault for being raped by the priest. How dare you?
Yeah.
Like, how could you tempt him like that? Or I don't know. I'm just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't get it. It's frightening.
It is.
I'm going to break this right now because it's important that we understand that the one thing that has not made it out to the public recently is the notion that we will be visited by, or have been in the past visited by, aliens, as in, we're talking the little green people. Well, not really the little green people, but people who are from another world. And I believe that what we're going to see soon is an unveiling of the concept that we have in fact been contacted by and have been in communication with people from other civilizations beyond Earth. And that will be part of the great deception that is forthcoming soon from Mr. Obama. And I believe that we'll start to see or hear hints of it very quickly in the new year.
That is...
Personally, I've already heard from other sources the very same thing that you're saying.
Jim Garrow appeared on the Eric Rush radio show where he revealed that he believes President Obama is in contact with aliens and is going to use Canadian troops to rush across the border and take over the United States.
I knew it.
Okay, yeah.
We knew that all along. I mean,
yeah,
it's Big Gardner Snake.
Oh, that
Big
must
Gardner
be it.
Snake.
And the problem is Nancy Smith of the Politichicks, on the same show, she says she's heard the same thing. Now, where has she heard this? Where do you people get this crap?
Maybe they were all listening to Coast to Coast.
They must have been. It's no wonder the Republicans are such a mess if this is the kind of crap that they believe.
I've heard the same story over. I mean, this is this New World Order conspiracy bullshit. Actually, he did add a nice little touch by adding the aliens, the space. I believe it was the space aliens. I don't know which ones, but because he has talked about the UN, and when he talked about it using Canadian troops because they're not bound by our Constitution.
Well, maybe he means illegal aliens then.
Who knows? But there's some that believe that there's could be illegal aliens, but I believe I thought I saw something about. Did I see it?
And the way it's phrased certainly doesn't sound like illegal aliens.
Oh, I'm sure it's space aliens.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're going to go talk to the Raelians and.
Well, apparently there's a guy who believes that Obama. Was this Basiang? I think is his last name. Who believes that Obama was part of a government program to teleport from Earth to Mars, to work on Mars with the Martians, and then
I want that to be true. I want that to be true.
I'd like that to be possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I want it to be true. You mean we can do that? Fucking A.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
My question in cases like this is like, to what end? Okay, so he's plotting against America. Before it was like, this is the plan B to the supposed previous plan that he was going to launch a nuclear attack against the U.S. to kill 90% of the United States population. Like, to what end? What do you gain by any of that? I don't understand what the ends are.
Money. That's what they said. It was to what George Soros was supposed to make money off of it. Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Sorry. If you kill 90% of Americans, the entire economy is going to break down.
Yeah.
Nobody's making any money.
Yeah. I did a show on the Globalist Agenda. I actually told, that one of the goals of the Globalist Agenda is to eradicate 90% of the world's population. And these the survivors, these elite, this will be the George Soroses and Queen of England, the Bush family, all the elites will then divide up what's left and live high off the hog. And the one thing I said in the show was, okay, they depend upon the billions of people on this planet buying and selling stuff between each other. That's how they make their money. You eliminate 90% of consumers and your producers. How are you going to maintain this lifestyle that you've created?
If you're one of the elite, one of this top however many percent, and you run the world secretly and you eliminate 90% of the world's population, like, okay, so in that position, like, are you okay then with running a sewage plant? You need fresh water, so you can run sewage plants and water treatment facilities. I know you're powerful and super rich, but now you've eliminated so many people. This job needs to be done by somebody. I just don't see that. It doesn't factor in to a good plan, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of the thing that I see a lot of libertarians doing, where they're going, yeah, we want to be completely self-sufficient. Well, sorry, dude. Humanity is an inherently social species. You can't do all the jobs yourself. You got to have other people out there that you can rely on to actually do some of these jobs, because you're not capable of doing it all for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And this, I'm just wondering exactly how they think that this whole attack is going to work. I mean, the Canadians aren't even a nuclear power, all right? Are we supposed to believe they have enough, like, Canadian Mounties who are going to ride across the border on horseback? Really?
Well, they're so damn polite. Like, they could be very subversive that way, because you wouldn't realize that standing next to you is this trained killer, because he's so damn polite. He even apologized when you were in the wrong.
Yeah, g'day.
So, the next thing you know, stabbed in the back.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess they're gonna have to be armed with alien death rays or something, because they have no weapons that can defeat us.
And my Canadian friends and any Canadian listeners, I apologize for being a douchebag just then.
Well, no, because I think that the Canadians tend to be more polite than most people. I mean, in my experience, I don't have a ton of Canadian friends, but I do know enough, and they tend not to be complete douchebags like a lot of Americans.
Right. I have 4 Canadian friends, and my sample is small, but all of them are super nice. So assuming all Canadians or most are like that, then yeah.
And they are how they are. I don't care where they live or anything like that. But this kind of story, it always makes me wonder why we don't have, like, a crazy person music on the show. We need to have something that plays in the background that's just like Looney Tunes or something. But we've been playing it all the time.
This reminds me a little bit of the Obama is the Antichrist bullshit.
Yeah, no, I was thinking it was the Obama is the Kenyan Muslim thing.
Well, yeah, it's that same kind of thing. Like, I don't know. I've had debates with people in real life, like people I know personally, that believe, yeah, he's a Muslim, he's a secret Muslim in the White House, and my brain kind of freezes up for a second. I'm like, where do I begin to unravel this clusterfuck of ignorance?
Well, I just go, to what purpose is he a secret Muslim?
Exactly.
Why is he a secret Muslim? I mean, he runs around and he tells people that he's a Christian, which I don't care about one way or the other. He can say anything he wants. I don't debate what he actually believes, only he knows that. But what's the purpose of that, being a Muslim and claiming to be a Christian? Because, I mean, are the Muslims supposed to know that he's not really a Christian, he's really a secret Muslim?
Isn't he an apostate by default then if he does that? If he is a Muslim and he runs around saying, I'm a Christian, I'm not a Muslim, I don't believe in the Muslim faith, doesn't that make him an apostate anyway?
Yeah, well, the whole thing, the reason this comes up is because according to some Islamic sects, if his father was a Muslim, he's a Muslim. Just like in Judaism, if your mother was a Jew, you're a Jew. So his father was absolutely a Muslim. So in the view of some Muslims, he must be a Muslim because his father was. And in fact, now he's an apostate Muslim because he rejects Islam. And, the Muslims are supposed to go out and kill him.
This country's going to hell in a handbasket.
Well, yeah, but let's be honest. The only way that the Christians who are saying that he's a Muslim can actually make a case is that they accept what Islam says about Islam. But they don't. They don't buy into any of that shit. So they have to pretend to believe in Islam in order to make a case that he's a Muslim, and the whole thing just falls apart when you think about it. It's like my head hurts.
Well, it's certainly cherry-picking sound bites or bits of fact to fit whatever you feel in the moment in that argument. That's where you get an argument like that, because it doesn't hold up to reason, and it's just, and logical questions like, to what end? That I have yet to hear a logical response to that, to what end? He's going to destroy America. being the president's making him pretty effing wealthy and sets him up for the rest of his life. Why would he want to destroy America for that? I don't understand. Like that. Why would he undo that for himself?
Right. Where is the conspiracy in this, and why would this conspiracy exist?
I
Mike?
guess because Allah. I guess. Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, Mike, Mr. Conspiracy. Why?
Why? It's the same reason. I mean, because I keep seeing all the common threads, and this guy's just pulling every conspiracy. I mean, there's the UN conspiracy, where I think that's where the Canadians come in. It's because the UN apparently has jurisdiction over, and they can send troops wherever. Not true, but these people. This guy's just he's playing on ignorance. For the idea that for the UN to send troops in the United States, something has to happen in this country. Apparently, the idea was that Obama was going to drop a nuclear bomb somewhere, set something off somewhere to create a whatever, and that was the prelude to getting the foreign troops into this country, which has been a common theme amongst the conspiracy people. They seem to think that the UN they have a standing army that can move at a moment's notice. No, they got to vote on it. They got to get countries to buy into it.
And it's not like we would agree to it, and we're the number one country in the Security Council.
Right. So we would veto it right away. I would hope he'd veto it right away, unless there is really a conspiracy, and then they say, "Oh yeah, bring him in." But no, I think in reality, if there was something like that, I think an American army can probably deal with any uprising. I don't think we need Canadians to help out with that. But if they want to help, they're nice people. Come on over, you can help us out. But
yeah, we've got enough nukes to wipe the entire planet several times over. Yeah, I'm not really that worried. Sorry.
Yeah.
I've got a question. Is Eric Rush, is he, I don't know much about Eric Rush. Is he a popular radio show host or do you know, like, what kind of following does he have?
I honestly don't know how popular he is. It's not something that I ever listened to.
Yeah, I haven't even
I've heard his name come up in a couple of stories that we've done in the past, but not a lot. So,
what I see about him, what I see is like I see these different articles about him and I think, okay, he's on what I would call the Rush Limbaugh level of crazy/bullshit, but I've never heard of him before, so I'm guessing he's probably not as well listened to as Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah,
and even Rush Limbaugh, I've never heard, siding with Obama has a secret plan with aliens and is going to nuke the country.
Yeah, he's not quite that crazy.
Did I just defend Rush Limbaugh?
He deserves it. He's not that crazy. He's crazy, but he's not that crazy.
I would argue that, but we can save that for another time.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't know where these people come from, what rocks they crawl out from under. I don't understand.
It seems kind of self-defeating, too. It's like, if I have a really good platform, for instance, if my podcast, who I think we have a listener, if we had, 2 million listeners, I'm like, okay, I want to start saying crazy shit about the president that's gonna defame the president or make people think otherwise of him. I don't think I'd jump so far as aliens and bombing the country. I would want to ease it in a little. I'd start with something a little smaller, like, he's gonna take gasoline right out of your tanks. He's literally sending people to your house to take gasoline out of your car's tank. I would go there first before aliens and Canadians.
Yeah, but you gotta remember, these people all believe in the Bible anyway, so it's not like these people are rational to begin with.
Touché, sir.
Alright, well, let's do our last story.
2 local people forgot the golden rule when police say they got into a violent fight over the 10 Commandments. Cartersville police say Carolyn Unfricht and Daniel Carmada were talking about the Bible in their hotel room. Unfricht told police things got heated, and that's when she hit him across the face with her Bible. He retaliated and threw her across the room. Officers say both were highly intoxicated at the time. The couple now faces battery charges.
I'm going to call this a what the fuck article. Okay. 2 arrested after 10 Commandments argument turns violent. And all I can say for this is 2 people drunk in a hotel room got arguing over a Bible and something about the 10 Commandments. Turned violent, got arrested. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's like crazy drunk people. Joy.
I'm going to say that when I first started reading this, I was like, oh, God damn it. Oh, wait, it's not in Oklahoma. That's exactly what went through my head. It's like, oh, us again? Oh, it's not us. It's Georgia. Okay, that's a little better. It's still fucking crazy. Like, I don't know what to say about this either. It's like, okay, so I'm not gonna be shitty and be like, two drunk rednecks. Like, I don't know. Two drunk people. There you go. There's a good start already. Are arguing about the Bible and the 10 Commandments. Well, which 10? Because isn't there like 11 depending on how you frame it? Like, which set of 10 Commandments is it?
Yeah, there are different commandments.
No, it's these 10, you fucker. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of commandments in the Bible. Sorry. And I think it's just too bad we don't know exactly what it was that they were arguing about, because it could be really funny. You know, I wanted to be a fly on the wall in that room. And then I love the part where she just hit him across the face with her Bible.
Yeah, when I read that, I thought to myself, you guys talked a couple shows ago about the person who got punched in the arm for saying Happy Holidays, right?
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to be something like that, like, oh, she hit him in the face with the Bible, which could, you know, it could be that she just barely hit him. It wasn't much of a smack, or maybe she's really weak and it wasn't much of a hit. And he's just like, what the shit? But then he throws her across the room. I was like, oh no, this was actually like really violent. Like that whole deal with, I didn't see video. I don't know if they ever released it. The person who got hit in the arm, it could have just been like a backhanded light slap. Like, oh, he should have said Happy Holidays. In which case, well, that's shitty. The person that got slapped should have just been like, yeah, well, you're an asshole. But, you know, in this case, someone got hit across the face with a book and somebody else got thrown across the room. I'm like, yeah, this is pretty fucked up right there. Like, somebody could have really gotten hurt even worse. I'm glad it didn't escalate any farther than that.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at it. We're assuming, I mean, I gotta assume this, but assuming it's like a Gideon Bible that was in the hotel room because this was in a hotel room. Those, I mean, there might be cheap-ass Bibles, but they're hardcover books. Alright? Getting whacked across the face with a hardcover book is gonna hurt. And besides the fact, if these people are arguing over the Bible, and let's assume that they're actually Christians and believe in the Bible, why are you gonna whack somebody with a book that you hold sacred?
I'm not sure how unclean of humor we're okay with here, but I'm gonna say if it was a Gideon's Bible in a hotel room, so not only were you hit with like the Holy Bible, probably some spunk as well, like the little jizz on the cover of that across the face. So.
Yeah, no, I actually have quite a few Gideon Bibles. Every time I stay at a hotel, I steal the Bible. Now I know that's what they want you to do, but I have probably 14 or 15 Bibles.
Wait, is it? I've never heard that.
What?
They want you to steal the
Yes,
Bible?
they want you to take the Bibles. They leave them there for you to read, and they hope that they should take them with you so that, you know, you are supposedly learning about the Bible. They don't want people like me to be taking them because I'm not going to take anything seriously. And I've found a lot of really funky shit in hotels. I have found Qurans in the hotel. I have found books by Christian scientists in hotels.
The last hotel I stayed in the bedside table, there was a Gideon's Bible and 2 condoms. I don't know if the hotel left those or if they were just a leftover from the previous occupants, but I just thought that was excellent juxtaposition there in the same drawer.
That's just sad.
This story, by the way, I wanted to mention, I said something to Mike recently about, like, I tend to be a little more liberally minded than you guys do. So it was like almost a little counterpoint being on this show. And I thought, you know, great counterpoint for this show if you can get my dad on here, because my dad is like the most pissy, no faith in humanity liberal I've ever seen, which kind of blows my mind a bit. Like, he will talk about, God, people are just so goddamn stupid, on and on. But he's just like straight up liberal as can be, and he's more liberal than even me in a lot of respects. And I thought that would be a great counterpoint for you too.
Oh sure, yeah, let's get him on the show. Why not?
You could banter about your political disagreements, but totally agree that people are just fucking stupid.
Yeah, I don't think it really matters if you're conservative or liberal. I mean, just there's people who are just too stupid, and people like this are they're just too stupid to be together. I mean,
I would normally argue that people in general aren't that stupid. If you use this as a case, I have no leg to stand on this case.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now that you guys are talking about this, I'm wondering who these 2 people actually are, because the article doesn't actually tell us. Are these like 2 friends? Because we know that there's 1 male, 1 female. Were these people married? Was she a hooker that got picked up by some guy? Who are these 2 people? What is their relationship?
Arguing about the Bible with the hooker and then she assaults you.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
That would be amazing.
Well, let's talk about Jesus first.
We're gonna have a theological debate. Oh, this is great.
Oh my God, I could just go on about this forever. It's like, yeah, baby, I like it just like that. But aren't we breaking commandment 4?
I don't think we are.
No, that's commandment 5. Like, no, it's not. It's 4, you asshole. Smack. Is that a graven image in your pocket? How dare you?
That makes the story even better. I'm sorry.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God. I can picture so many funny ways this could have happened. It's terrible and hilarious at the same time.
It's just wrong.
Oh, holy shit. So, Saturday morning, or it happened at 1 a.m. on Saturday morning, when the officer entered the room, there was blood on the carpet and a bloody towel in the sink, the report says. Holy shit, she didn't just hit him across the face, she beat the crap out of him with the good book.
Well, unless that was him throwing her across the room, that could have been that too.
Or maybe they, if in fact she, I never went there. I was gonna make rough sex jokes, but we'll just...
Hey, you never know.
There's a lot of leather and buckles in the room. We don't know what that was about.
Yeah, and he was going, spank me with the Bible. Oh, God, no, this is just getting more
Beat those commandments into me, baby.
Oh, God.
No, that's not the 10th commandment. Have you not read this?
Oh, this is getting more and more wrong all the time.
I don't know if I'm sorry for this or not.
You're going to hell. Oh, no, you're not.
Well, I'm okay with that. If I'm going to hell, that's fine, because look at all the interesting people I'm going to know there. I mean, come on, like, I'm going to hang out with you guys.
Yeah,
all
we'll
the guys
there.
from my other podcasts are going to be there. Christopher Hitchens is going to be there. Richard Dawkins will be there. Hitchens will be fun. Maybe we can get drunk and banter a bit in hell. I don't know what that's like. Like, if hell for me is like, we're dooming you to an eternity in Minnesota in the winter. Fuck, that is hell, actually.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Holy shit, really? Like, this is a thing?
No. No snow. All right. Anybody else have anything to add before we,
I think
our brains explode?
Probably shouldn't.
It's only going to get worse.
I'm on my second drink. Like, give me 15 minutes and it'll get really bad.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, this show is not for kids. Sorry. Sorry this week. Let's not talk about rough religious sex or anything like that. It's too disturbing. All right. Well, let's go ahead and do some main
Find it
events.
on the internet if you want, folks.
Yeah, if you're on the internet, you should know about all this stuff anyway. It's hard to get away from.
Probably already seen it.
I'm sure. Let's not go there. All right, so let's do some main event.
This is the main event.
And for the main event, since I'm not really involved in this other podcast, I'm going to kind of let you two go at it and have a little discussion, and I'll kind of jump in from time to time. So, go ahead.
All right. Well, yeah. Jon and I've been involved with this also, the Irreverent Skeptics podcast. Jon he had already been running the Hangout, the Google Hangout for a while. I kind of joined in maybe a month or so after that got started, I think.
I had remembered it like you'd been there from the beginning, but maybe not. It seems like it. Like, you've been there. You're certainly the most long-running participant since you started. I don't think you've missed an episode since you started.
Yeah, because, I want to say, because, I think Johan, I joined one with, there was actually a lot of, we had Lauren and, Johan already.
I know Lauren was in the first one. I don't know who else was in the first one. I know Lauren was there. Johan used to show up quite a bit. A couple of Rachels have been in there. Elizabeth used to show up, but she has conflicting appointments with the time we do now. That was pretty much our regulars for the most part, as I recall. For a while now, it's been you and me and Carlton, Brandy, Michael McElroy, Erno. Oh, Erno has been on there off and on for quite a while as well. Did I forget anyone just now? I'm sorry if I did.
Yeah, it's not like I'm around because I never, as I keep telling, Mike keeps telling me to be on, and it's like, I'm going, Saturday mornings are the worst time for me. I mean, weekends, I don't even go to bed until 4:00 in the morning. So right. I'm not even awake when you guys are doing it.
I remember you saying that on the last episode, and I'm glad you brought that back up because I immediately thought of a response to that. It's like, here on the Bitchspot report, like, you guys are kind of cranky a little bit anyway, right? And like, so, okay, so if you went to bed at 4 a.m. and we drag your ass up out of bed at 10 your time, like, you're gonna be kind of fucking cranky. Like, yeah, we'd be like, so, what do you think about this thing? And like, let you just have at it.
Yeah, I'm cranky all the time though, so it's okay. Well, if I ever can, I certainly will. I mean, I've seen it go by a lot. I mean, for months and months and months on the Google Plus group. And I've kind of gone, well, maybe if I'm ever up, I'll jump in there, but it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, maybe we can work something out for a different recording time if we have to. I don't know.
No, it's okay. I mean, if I ever can, I certainly will jump in and do it.
Fantastic.
Get on there and bitch about things.
We've covered so many different topics on there. It just started out like, I think the whole community started, John Ellis, myself, and a couple of other people were trading comments about Cognitive Dissonance, an episode of their podcast, and somehow on that particular day from those comments, we just went back and forth and decided, hey, let's start a community, and so we did, and shortly thereafter, I started hosting hangouts on the weekends, and Mike said last week that he thinks the podcasting bugs kind of got me. Well, actually, it kind of got me like 2006, I think. It was 2005, 2006 is when I was thinking, I could get a few of my friends together, and some of the stuff we talk about would be fun for people to listen to, and I've kind of held on to that for a while, and it's kind of gone back and forth in terms of priority, and this kind of all worked out. The Hangouts was going really well. I was just flabbergasted when Mike Bowler showed up. I was like, holy shit, I listened to this guy's podcast, and he wants to hang out with us. Then, no, Dumbass. God, I'm sorry, Dumbass. Dumbass has been jumping in with us from the Dumbass Media Empire. He's a regular contributor now, too. So I have like 2 celebrities every week in this hangout, and I was like, what do you guys think about a podcast? And one of our semi-regular members who hadn't been around much, he wasn't really too hip on the idea, but everybody else is like, yeah, that sounds good, let's do that. So we finally decided, okay, let's make that a thing for 2014, and we have a website now. It's pretty much finished. We've got episodes up you can listen to. Shortly you'll be able to download the audio of some of the most recent ones. The rest are YouTube videos you can watch of the entire hangout. We've got a couple of posts of just like different things. I did a post recently about my use of valerian root. I mentioned that in our most recent episode, and one of the guys asked me, like, what's the scientific backing on that? And I said, honestly, I don't have a good answer for that, but I will. And I did a little research, and as it turns out, there isn't really any conclusive evidence that valerian root is a good sleep aid, but it doesn't seem harmful, so I'll keep using it, but I won't tell people that that's the thing that's helping me sleep. And I guess that's pretty much the story of how our podcast got where it is now, and we've gotten permission to use audio clips from other shows and music from certain musicians for different bits, and I'm pretty happy with it. It's all still kind of new to me, so thankfully I have a couple of pros in there with me.
Yeah, just wait, because we've been doing this one for almost a year, and this is episode 46, and it gets to the point where it's just kind of natural, and you just go do it, and it's not that difficult, and it doesn't take a lot of time, and that's kind of what I like about it. We can get a couple of people on here and just bitch, and it kind of works out.
Yeah,
I think if you can make it this coming weekend for our hangout, it'd be a good one, because it's the first world problems episode, which it's kind of tongue in cheek. The whole first world problem things is kind of tongue in cheek, but it's the perfect chance for me to completely pitch a bitch about all this technology that surrounds me that I love and hate at the same time, and I have so much of it that I love and hate. Everything from my Xbox to my bandwidth at my job, and everywhere in between. I can complain about all kinds of stuff, and I decided I'm going to go on an official Jon rant about that segment for the show. So we would love to have you come on and have a rant too.
Sure, I will do my absolute best. Send me an invitation, and I'll go ahead and I'll try and jump on.
Will do.
Yeah, because I heard that one of the guys from Cognitive dropped on for a little bit last time.
Yeah, Cecil dropped in with us, 2 weeks ago now, I think it was? 2 weeks ago. I was like, holy shit, Cecil wants to join the hangout. Get the F out. So now I'm like, here's 3 celebrities hanging out with us. It's just perfect.
Yeah, well, I don't do much celebrity worship or anything like that. I really don't care, but,
I won't stalk you or, take pictures of you in your bathroom or anything that you know of.
That I know of, yes, unfortunately. Yeah. Well, it's like somebody said, well, hey, why don't you get Richard Dawkins or something on the show? And I was like going, oh, first off, he's got better things to do. But otherwise, it's like, I'm sorry, I don't worship these people. These people are just people. They're just guys. I don't get people who run around and just, kiss the ass of whoever's popular or has written books, or P.C. Myers, especially him, because he's just a douchebag. But, a lot of those people, I don't get people who just sit around and go, God, these people are so perfect and wonderful. No, they're not. They're just people. Get over it. Treat them like regular people. I know so many people who are quote unquote famous, actors and authors and all this other stuff. I don't treat them like any different than anybody else, and they kind of get pissed off when everybody treats them like they're gods. They're not gods, they're just guys.
Yeah, that's one thing for sure, is whoever shows up on the show, I'll be super thankful that anyone shows up, and the people that I consider to be somewhat celebrities, when they show up, I'm like, hey, we're in the presence of someone who I consider to be kind of a celebrity. That's about the end of my celebrity worship, though. If I could get Richard Dawkins to come into one of our hangouts, I would be ecstatic, because he's very intelligent and very well spoken. I'd love to hear what he has to say, but I certainly wouldn't trip over myself to kiss his ass. First of all, it's not my style, and second, I don't think it's appealing to anybody.
Yeah, I don't get people
no one
who
wants to hear that.
I don't understand people who think that the celebrities want that. Now, there may be some, and I'm sure there's a lot of Hollywood elite who expect people to kiss their ass, but those people are generally dicks anyway.
Right. Well, and they're very much embedded in a system that, even if they don't begin stardom with that expectation, that system feeds that, the feedback they get, it feeds that expectation over time. Like, oh, I'm so used to doing this thing that now I expect it. But probably not even self-aware that they expect those kind of things now. Or at least not aware that that's not reasonable in some contexts. So I've got a question for you guys about, since you said that about, celebrity worship and about PZ Myers and the whole Atheist Plus movement. Like, I don't really even understand that much. Like, I've been an atheist for at least a couple decades or more, but I was never terribly active in the atheist community. I've been to a number of meetings here of a local atheist group, but like the Atheist Plus community and a lot of the superstar atheists, I don't know a whole hell of a lot about. Like the whole big Rebecca Watson kerfuffle a couple years back. I was just kind of like, what the fuck's up with them? Why are people such assholes? Like, yeah, like I hear this thing is going on. I'm like, what? People are giving her death and rape threats over this? Like, what the fuck is up with these people? And I was like, oh, I come to find out, like, oh, she has, some conflict with atheist celebrities. I'm like, what the fuck is an atheist celebrity? I don't really understand it. That whole thing just seems extremely pretentious to me. The whole idea that I'm an atheist and I'm a celebrity because I'm an atheist. Like that, I don't know. To me, that just seems like that. It's almost churchy to me in a way. It's almost like, oh, this famous religious figure, in this case, anti-religious figure. It just seems a little weird to me. What do you guys think?
Well, we've talked a lot about Atheism Plus in the past, and, my 2013, I guess, New Year's resolution was, I don't give a shit about Atheism Plus anymore, so I'm going to completely ignore them. But in general, this whole thing started with Rebecca Watson, where she complained that somebody asked her out for coffee at a convention, and it made her very uncomfortable. And now she doesn't want guys to do that because she thinks that something somehow is wrong. And there were just battle lines drawn, especially when Richard Dawkins came in and he said, he did his Dear Muslima thing, where he said, you people need to get over your first world problems when there are women in the world who are getting raped and murdered and all this other stuff just because they're women. And you got all of and I hate to use the word liberal, but I'm going to, all of the atheist liberals who wanted social justice causes to be inherently part of their atheism. They got on one side and pretty much all the rational people got on the other side. And it's been kind of a war ever since. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, PZ Myers has been leading the charge on the one side, basically saying that liberal social justice causes are inherently part of atheism, and anybody who doesn't buy into their causes, and that's radical feminism and environmentalism and pro-LGBT and all this other stuff, then those people can all go to hell and fuck off, and you're not really atheists. At which point in time, everybody just kind of laughed and flipped them off and said, fuck you.
Isn't that kind of redefining atheism, though?
Of course it is, yeah.
I would say that, yeah, certainly, like, I'm an atheist, and I probably land on a far more liberal mindset than I think you guys do. Maybe, I don't know, to be honest. I think so. I kind of identify as a liberal, sort of, but my thoughts is, like, a lot of those fall under the category of humanism, not atheism. Atheism simply is a lack of belief in a higher power, or a lack of belief in a deity. Like, why does that have to extend to the works that we do? I don't think it does. Like, is it nice, the idea that, maybe the entire atheist community as a whole decides we're gonna fight world hunger? Is that nice? Certainly. Is it a requisite for not believing in God? I don't see how those two things go hand in hand. Like, they certainly can work together, but one does not require the other.
Yeah, but they're really arguing that they do. That's the problem. And they are really redefining what atheism is. That's why they're calling it Atheism Plus. It's Atheism Plus social justice. And they're saying that you cannot be an atheist at all, or you cannot be a worthwhile atheist at all if you do not accept their ideas on social justice. And I'm entirely cool with most of the things that they say. I'm entirely cool with rational feminism. Not the kind of radical feminism that they support, but rational equality for all, egalitarianism for everybody. I'm entirely in support of that. But they only want you to be able to be a radical feminist, basically hate white men, and it's especially they're going after white educated men. And they basically think those should be slaved. And to be real honest, some of them think they should be slaughtered. And, crap like that.
So So is that something that PZ Myers would support, that particular view, or just like in general, like that, I guess, mindset in general he supports, or like, I guess would, like, in his case, would he be an apologist for being a white male then, or does he just kind of support the more radical feminist ideas? There are some really radical feminist ideas. We talked about one on our most recent episode of this idea that penis and vagina sex is always rape. Everyone in our group agreed that that's crazy, and my mindset to that is like, wow, that's terrible that someone feels that way. That there's some obvious trauma there. But the idea that, like, if being an atheist meant, or an atheist, atheist plus in this case, meant I had to support that viewpoint, yeah, I would not be okay with that at all. Because I just don't, that's not reasonable to me. So I guess my question is, like, is someone like PZ Myers, is he just like blanket support all kinds of radical feminism, or is it just like particular bits? I don't understand exactly.
Well, I can't say exactly what he supports right now because I haven't been over to Feringula in over a year.
Sure.
I haven't stepped foot on his blog. I'm sure it hasn't changed. And I don't know exactly how radical he personally goes, but he does support the radicals.
Yeah.
He may not personally believe it, but he certainly does go out there and carry it around on his shoulders and just say, hey, this is great. And, and unfortunately, there are some super radical feminists who part of their position is that you cannot be a feminist unless you are a lesbian. Because male-female sex is inherently bad and evil.
Right.
What the fuck are you people smoking? Really? Come on.
I'll tell you on that note, when I hear people talk about radical feminism, and generally people I've talked to that will talk about radical feminists and the examples they use, I'm like, yeah, that's not as radical as it gets. My girlfriend introduced me, not because she's a subscriber to the idea, but she's aware of this idea of Dworkin, was Andrea Dworkin, and she has like this, what you call like a radical philosophy that's kind of like her branch of feminist philosophy, and that is truly radical, way the hell out there feminism, and a lot of that is like, as I said before, it's very obvious that it stems from a lot of trauma, and in her case, it's documented that in fact it does stem from a lot of trauma, and it's sad, but like, I hear people talk about that, and I think of radio hosts talk about radical feminism, like, you want to talk about radical feminism, deal with that. Like, that is stuff right there that is fucking out there. I will even say it's nuts, and I'm not one generally to say that, like, someone's beliefs are just crazy, but that is fucking crazy shit. It's sad and crazy, and I can only deal with reading so much about it because it makes my brain hurt. And, like, it doesn't make me feel bad to be a man, but I'm like, God, I would just kind of feel bad being around someone that actually subscribed to this idea. Like, I know how uncomfortable they'd be around me, and I'd be like, I feel bad about that, or feel at least uncomfortable myself being around that kind of mindset. It is nuts.
Yeah, I mean, these are people who actually need some serious professional help. But, these people have taken trauma and turned it into a lifestyle, and I don't know.
Catholicism. Oh, wait, no, different topic.
Yeah, nah, that's something else. Mike, say something.
I should say something. So,
this is like Mike on our podcast.
Yeah,
we're like, Mike, some words of wisdom. Damn it, you're intelligent as hell. Say something.
Well, it's one of those, that's what I kind of like about the show. I mean, in some cases, I just don't get into the topic too much, I mean, I understand enough, but it's like, hey, these guys know what they're talking about. Let her rip. And then, if I get a chance to throw in my words of wisdom, I mean, when I started, what were we talking about? Started talking about, the GMOs, the GMO show. And then it was like,
yes.
And then I jumped in and says, well, I used to work technically for Monsanto, I guess. And I started explaining some of the, the food stuff that I worked with. And it was like, oh, I didn't know you were, but it's, I could finally jump in and say, hey, aspartame, don't worry about it. There's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't come from, it's not, I think the latest thing is now that people are saying that it's comes from, bacteria shit.
Lots of things come from bacteria, and they're all good.
Yeah.
It's like, guys, I'm a diabetic, all right? My insulin, well, I mean, if I was still taking insulin, but I'm on pills, but, insulin is made by bacteria. It keeps millions of people alive. Why the fuck do you think that that's a bad thing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I know that, with alcohol, cheese, I've seen bacteria. I worked on a waste treatment plant, which was they call it an anaerobic digester. It's basically bacteria that is eating all the bad stuff, and out comes clean water. They say you can drink it. I mean, I look at it, it's like, well, I don't think I really want to drink it. It's it has a great tinge to it, but,
But I'm sure you could filter that out.
Yeah, well, that was the thing.
This is what I'm talking about.
But you compare the stuff that was going
Mike
on.
has this.
Yeah,
Mike has this fascinating knowledge like this.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, in going through that story, what else have I done? Did I talk about JFK?
Yeah, we've done a couple. Let's see, we did the Truthers or Consequences episode.
Yeah.
Best title ever, by the way. And we did, I don't know if we talked just about JFK, but we talked a couple of times about different conspiracy things. Certainly that GMO episode, when you started in on your bit about that, we were just, you had a captive audience. We were like, oh my God, listen to Mike. Like, I had no idea he had all this experience and knowledge. It was fantastic. Yeah, it's perfect. And I might add that in our most recent episode, Mike made a really great dick joke. So.
Yeah, because you should always have a dick joke in every episode.
We pretty much at least have one. My favorite is the intergalactic dick jokes when we have a chance for those, but yeah, we pretty much have a dick joke in every episode.
And if not, Erno could put his shirt on.
That's true. Yeah. He often wears his glory hole T-shirt that has a big penis on it.
I'm sorry, those are just sad. Those are scary.
But we have, it's a show. We have fun. I mean, we'll talk about some serious topics, but we go all over the place. And like Carlton George, I mean, he's been super cool, and he brings, cause actually I've been watching some of his side work, and, I saw him sitting there talking to, I think it was almost like a whole bunch of, there were different, religious, there were Christians. They were always, I think there was maybe one Jew on the panel, all the rest of them, and they were talking about the Bible, and actually I'm sitting there listening, and Carlton was letting him talk, but he would come in with a few nice little zingers, because there was stuff like, this one guy was saying that he couldn't quote the Bible because the Bible he uses copywritten.
By who?
There's
this Bible copywritten by God.
Wait, what?
There's an actual copywritten, I mean, what was the one? Was that Bible? Because they were talking about the King James. God, I'm trying to remember now, but there was like, that they actually technically can't quote anything out of those Bibles because it was copywritten material, or they changed the passages enough that they could copyright. I wonder if it's maybe one of the evangel.
Well, that certainly sounds like the inspired word of God to me.
Yeah.
We paraphrase it so much we can call it our own.
Yeah. But they were talking about that, and Carlton's really, he's super. I mean,
we should have him on.
Yeah.
No, that guy is very well read. Apparently, he's very articulate and he writes very well. He's sharp. He's very sharp.
And then, and Brandy, I like how she brings a little levity to the show, and but she also, I mean, the psychology and stuff like that. She's a social worker. I never ever asked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
She has a master's in social work. Yeah.
Right. So all that she brings. Erno brings the European view, I guess. He's from Finland, and so he kind of helps us out when we start talking about stuff outside of the country, because over there he's saying that I don't know what church it was, but there's a state church, and he pays taxes, or he could pay taxes. Or was that Johan in Sweden?
Pretty sure it was Erno, and it's like you're a member whether you want to be or not.
Well, you're born a member, and
right.
The only way to get out of it is to specifically request to leave the church.
Right. It's interesting to have Erno on because he brings such an interesting foreign perspective, and he's busted a few of the misconceptions that I've had about European lifestyle, I guess, or whatever, and he certainly adds a lot of value. And Michael McElroy also, just from the posts that Michael McElroy had posted here and there before he really started doing the hangouts with us on a regular basis, I thought, oh, he's pretty cool. And then he gets in there and like, wow, he is also very sharp and quick-witted. Like he can come up with a very well reasoned and very articulate argument on the spot, and it's almost stunning. Like I feel like I thought I tended to be well spoken, and then I'm amongst these people that speak far better than I. I'm like, yeah, I'm just the jackass that's kind of leading this thing. And then Dumbass and Mike, who both have a fairly extensive podcast experience, they don't say a whole lot. They do add in really great banter and great points. That they tend to just sit back and let us do our thing. It's like the old guys, like, oh yeah, let the youngins have their moment.
Yeah.
Like, we'll jump in every now and then.
Yeah.
Keep them straight, straighten them out, make sure they're on the straight and narrow. And,
I started pestering Mike here to let me on an episode of Skeptics Guide to Conspiracy, because I want to talk about 9/11 conspiracies with him.
Yeah, I think I got a plan for that. So,
Excellent.
I've got my first 9/11 show recorded. I'm going to do a couple more, and then I like to do it as a wrap up, and I'll talk to you about that.
Oh, sure,
Mike. So, but yeah, I mean it's been a fun experience. Apparently, we got people listening to us, and we can get a Q&A. Google Q&A will work.
Oh, it was all me last time. I'm pretty sure I fucked that up. Okay. I'm not going to blame Google. I think that was my mistake.
Okay, because I can't see the Q&A when if there was any. So
that's one thing that's kind of unique to I guess to our show than a lot of others, or really any that I listen to, is that you get real time feedback. Like if you're in the Q&A, if you're in the Q&A section, if you will, and you're asking questions, we will address your questions and comments right there in the show. Often there are things that are completely off topic or in languages I don't understand, and even then I will address them.
Yeah, somebody sends you something in Swahili.
Right. Yeah, I've had to Google Translate a number of times, be like, okay, this is what Translate says. I'm sure that's not what you meant, but I will read it anyway. And we've had a couple of guys that, especially on our GMO, the one I remember the most is the GMO show. There's a guy who, his name escapes me now, but he runs the GMO LOL community on Google+, which if you're interested in skeptical discussion about GMOs, it's definitely worth checking out. He did a bunch of back and forth with us through the Q&A, and that guy he seems to be very intelligent. He had a lot of excellent questions and points, and I was like, man, why don't you come in our next episode? Because we did 2 episodes on that. And he was a little camera shy and I guess microphone shy, which was fine, but he added a lot of value to that show by participating. That's one thing I really like, is that if you want to have questions and comments while we're doing our show, go ahead. I've also said that if you will send us feedback, regardless of what it is, like I will respond to it. And if you just want to send me feedback, tell me what an asshole I am, I will tell you to fuck off on our next episode.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of why I was thinking about having like Google Phone or something like that, so that people can come on and just actually ask questions or have feedback, whatever they want to do. And we can certainly address those on the air. We just don't really have a place doing the podcast like we do to have somebody, ask questions or call in or anything like that. Right. Although that might be something, if anybody ever showed an interest in doing it, we could do, but, it just hasn't been something that's happened so far.
Yeah, you can set up that Google Voice number for free, and yeah, you could, hell, if you do it this week, you might have, the week after you get it set up, you might have all kinds of feedback. You never know.
Yeah, I mean,
try.
That's why I'm probably going to do it, just to make things easier for our listeners. And when or if I actually do get on your show, I'm not going to have a camera on there either, because I don't even have a camera on my computer. I gave my podcast, or I gave my camera to my daughter so she can go out and do crap with her friends, and I don't want to go get it back, so it's just not worthwhile.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, and soon, soon we'll be published to different podcast distribution systems like iTunes and Stitcher, and I'm not sure what else. Those are the 2 I know we want to focus, or we want to target first, but there are certainly others, and then an RSS feed as well. Yeah. So while we will have the video, we started doing a little more editing now. For the longest time, it was like, there's no second takes on this, so if we fuck it up, we're just going to keep rolling. Well, now there's actually a chance we'll edit things. I don't know to what extent we're doing that yet. Maybe more so in the future. I'm not really sure. That's kind of one of the things we'll feel out as we go along. But video is not so necessary now that we're doing a podcast as it was when we were doing a hangout. And even then it wasn't necessary. It was nice, but not necessary.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the one thing. And it's the weirdest thing that I've realized since I've been doing a podcast is listening to other podcasts or listening, even watching TV, doing any of that stuff. I get really, really, really sensitive to all the edits that should be done. Anybody who screws up, it's just, you kind of wince. Because it's like, that should be edited, this should be fixed, all the sound problems should be fixed, and all this other stuff. And I know we're not working on the most professional sound equipment here, and I don't have a mixer or any of that stuff. I could set it all up, but we haven't found it necessary so far. But still, when you listen to people and they'll sit there and they'll just go blah, 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 blah on the air, and you just kind of wince and go, fix that! You're going to get to that point too once you start doing heavy editing.
Right. I've tried to do as little as I can. I'm trying to be mindful of that, and I still catch myself doing it. I try and not insert an everywhere. It's very common, and especially in our language, it's very common, and I try and be mindful of that. I don't know how well I do, and as time passes, I will probably be a little more mindful of that. One thing is that I don't like listening to my own voice, so myself doing the audio editing is torturous. That's why I've farmed it out to Erno and Michael McElroy so far. I've gotten away with that to this point. I don't know. Eventually I'll probably have to do some of it myself. I don't like listening to my own voice for some reason. So
yeah, well,
there's that.
I don't mind it, but I don't talk a lot in the podcast. I kind of let Mike do all the talking. So
is there an app that'll make me sound like Barry White?
I don't think so.
Damn, Mike. That was sexy right there.
That's for the ladies.
Don't worry about your panties, baby. I'll take them off.
Hey, you might get some listeners doing that.
Yeah. I'll work on it.
I'm sorry, I came on your show and have like brought this down 3 notches. Like
that's all right.
Religious prostitutes and dick jokes and Barry White. Like that's what I bring.
It can only help. I don't know.
There's a website I found today actually called podcastland.com that has all kinds of different podcasts, and from the looks of it, there's a lot of them that are kind of like my podcast to ones like yours to ones like say Radiolab. You know, Radiolab's like or This American Life, or they're like non-profit. I guess they're non-profit by donation deals, but they're big production value. And then mine is almost no production value whatsoever. Yours is considerably better than mine will even be. And this one, there's a wide range of those, from like just people that don't edit anything at all to ones who do and chop it up a bit. It's certainly worth listening to get a feel for what other podcasts are doing. And I was aware there are a lot of podcasts around, but holy shit, are there a lot of podcasts around?
Oh, thousands, millions.
Yeah, there's a subreddit on Reddit. I think it's just our podcast or something like that has tons of them there. I'm just like, oh, yeah, I'm just another guy. I'm like kind of like YouTube now, like people on YouTube that I have my YouTube channel, and your chances of being seen by anyone is kind of slim. Like that's kind of how I feel about mine. I'm glad that we've had the views that we've had on our videos and the people that watch it that we do. And I don't know that we have any aspirations for big listenership or not. I guess it'd be nice. I don't really care one way or the other.
I'm happy getting, like with my show, I mean, I was happy to get 100, 200. I mean, I think I'm now 2,000 listeners maybe each episode.
Holy shit. Nice.
Yeah. And, I mean, but even that it's small, but I'm happy. I'm happy that people are listening. And I get positive feedback to the show. So, that's all the better because, I mean, I'm doing this for fun. I mean, I do this show, I do my Skeptics Guide show, and I do the Irreverent Skeptics as fun. I mean, this is something I do for fun. And, if people like it, hey, more. It's been great. So,
yeah. I mean, I do this show for fun too. I originally just walked into it because, somebody I was friends with had another podcast, thought that was great and wanted to do a better podcast. So we just kind of got together and went out and did something, and it was fun. So we just kept doing it. To be real honest, I don't give a shit who listens. I mean, I do.
Oh, sure.
I do, but I'm not doing this for ratings. I'm not doing this for points. We don't make any money off of it. We don't care. We're doing it because we're two guys who happen to like talking about the same kind of stuff, who get online and share it with anybody who wants to listen. And like our YouTube, we get very little viewership on our YouTube because we've basically given up on doing, I mean, I used to spend seriously 5 or 6 hours putting together a YouTube video to go along with the show. And we didn't have enough to justify it, to spend that much time on it and to get how many ever people were listening to it. It just didn't justify it. So now it's just like, it's an audio version of the podcast with our logo, and that's just it. And, you listen to it that way or you don't. And I still put it up every week, but we don't get a whole lot off of it.
That's one of the nice things about having 7 regular contributors to our show is that no one person should have to take an inordinate amount of work upon themselves. It seems like some of the audio editing was becoming that way, and so we've got 2 people now doing it, and we can certainly spread that out to more if needed. And I guess something like putting a specific video together, like video editing, for instance, for our show, we could do that. I don't really see the point myself. I have to say we've had some videos that have had a number of views. I was shocked at some of the numbers of views we've had on some of our hangouts. Like, what people want to hear what we have to say, really?
Yeah, but you've inherently got a video that goes with it.
I'm sure it's Mike a dumbass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, really.
But see, at least you've got an inherent video that goes with it. It gives somebody something to watch. We don't have anything for anybody to watch. I went through and I probably was plugging in 400, 500, 600 images for an hour and a half podcast.
Oh, I see. So you're having the audio rolling and then putting stuff on top of the audio.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that is dedication, man.
That was insanity.
I feel fucking lazy now.
Yeah. No, it was insane. And I did it for a while. And it just was like, I'm not getting any return for this, so I'm not going to do it anymore. I apologize to anybody who liked that, but goddamn, I don't have the time for that.
Well, if you liked it and you miss it, then why the hell haven't you been screaming about it and feedback to the show? That's what I would say. Like, if you really liked it that much,
yeah,
pump it to your friends and start emailing the show and be like, we really like that video, or I really like that video and I want to see it again.
Yeah. Well, I don't have time for it anyway, so.
Yeah,
somebody else could do it if they wanted to.
Now,
but...
I'm inciting a campaign that you're going to be like, I'm not doing it. Leave me alone, people.
Yeah, that's about it. It's like, I just don't have the 5 or 6 hours to spend sticking images together.
I don't really have any aspirations for being a big show. I listen to a number of really famous podcasts and then even way more less famous podcasts. I don't have any aspirations to be as big as those shows are. If I was, like, there's a couple of shows I listen to where they express that if you ask them how many people listen to your show, they get offended by that. And I don't really understand that mindset. It's okay if that's how you feel. Like, myself personally, I will tell you, like, oh yeah, we've had 3 people or 30 million people listen. Like, alright. I don't feel one way or the other, and I don't care about winning an award. I guess it'd be nice, although I'm not looking for anything like that. Like, it'd only be nice because, that's a thing? Okay. I'm not looking to win the awards. I'm not looking for half the world to listen to what I have to say. In fact, I would probably advise you not to half the time.
Yeah, see.
I don't really have any good answers. I have a bunch of, myself personally, I have a bunch of ambiguity. So I'll start down the road to an answer and then end with, I really don't know.
Yeah, see.
That's why I need the 6 other people on my show, because I really don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, we aren't going to ever be a huge show because we put 2 things together that tend to drive away our audience. You know, you got the conservative atheist. Well, being atheist tends to drive away the conservatives, and being conservative tends to drive away the atheists. So we're never going to get a lot of people because we have a very small niche audience. But what the hell, it's what we want to do. And if you want to listen, cool. If you don't, cool. I don't care about awards. I do virtually no advertising for this podcast. You know, we go out there and put our name out there, but I don't do anything active. It's like, you listen or you don't. Do whatever.
I don't know to what extent I'll do advertising or I guess that's the word to use. Like, I don't know to what extent I'll try and get our name out there. I certainly will a little more than we have now. Probably not a whole lot more. I hope I don't ever get into a position where I'm paying a lot of money to advertise. I can't see doing that. I'll say about your show, like, I'm someone that you would probably, if you knew me just in person, you'd be like, oh, you listen to that show, really? Because, like, I've got a far more liberal and less cantankerous, if you will, mindset most of the time. But it's because of Mike I started listening, really. He's like, oh, you're on the Bitchspot report. I'll have to check this thing out. And I'm like, wow, often I listen, I'm like, well, I totally disagree with everything you guys just said. Although I completely respect your opinions. I'm like, I completely disagree with that. That's okay. It's good to hear an opposing view that's not stupid. Or one that I hate. I'm even hesitant to say stupid. I feel bad for saying that. But, like, it's nice to hear an opposing view that isn't so blatantly thoughtless. And you can get a lot of that in so many places. Like, I can go get a conservative opinion that has very little reason or logic behind it in so many places, and I don't get that here. I get a well-reasoned conservative mindset, and that's refreshing. And I guess one thing I can say I show is, like, right here I am hanging out with you guys having a good time. It's like we sit on probably somewhat opposite ends of the political spectrum and still respect one another and can speak intelligently without fucking Jesus or whatever.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that, and I've noticed this a long time ago when Hausdorff was on the podcast. You know, he refers to himself as a dyed-in-the-wool liberal, but there's an awful lot of things that we agree on that have nothing to do with conservative or liberal. It's just we agree, and he chooses the liberal label, and I choose the conservative label, and we both share the same opinions.
Yeah, I choose the liberal label, if you will, mostly because people tell me, like, yeah, you tend to be more liberal. Because I'm like, I don't really know. For instance, like, you would expect someone with a liberal mindset to be like, you know, oh, gun control. Like, me, I don't really care. Like, I grew up in Oklahoma, so I remember when I was a kid, you drive down the street and see a gun rack with rifles in the back window of a pickup truck. You don't see that anymore, but that was kind of the environment I grew up in. So a lot of people had guns. I remember my next door neighbor, who, as I didn't realize until I was an adult, it was like a lesbian couple living next door. I didn't know how profound that was until many years later. But one of the ladies that lived next door had a number of rifles and a couple of assault rifles, and I was just like, oh yeah, people have guns. That's a thing. So here I am now. I'm an adult, and I identify with more liberal ideas in general. But something like gun control, I'm like, yeah, on the surface, like, I kind of think it would be better if there wasn't a society with a bunch of people walking around carrying guns, but do I think that should be legislated? No, we've got bigger problems, bigger fish to fry. I don't really care, because how bad is gun violence in America for law-abiding gun owners? Not much. Like, your chances of killing yourself with a gun are higher, but that's kind of a different issue than the gun. Like, that could be addressed in other ways. And there's a number of other issues where I would fall in that kind of mindset. Someone would be like, well, that's not a liberal mindset. Well, I don't really care if it's a liberal mindset. It's just how I feel. My liberal ideas are more systemic. Like, I would probably differ with you guys a bit on things like welfare or maybe healthcare or something like that. But even then, I can have a rational, intelligent discussion about it. And certainly no need to start pointing fingers and yelling at one another. And another thing that I really like is I work with a guy who's extremely religious and also extremely intelligent. And we've had a number of, you call them debates, but they're very, very civil. He firmly believes that you cannot have a moral society, you cannot have a framework of morality without a deity, without some kind of divine inspiration for that. And I would say, obviously, I disagree with that, and we've had lengthy discussions about that. Neither of us has ever been like, oh yeah, you're absolutely right, not me, but we can still exchange ideas, and that's nice. Which is kind of what I feel like this is here.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a civil discussion about anything, as long as everybody's intelligent and they're not just going, I'm right, so they're, I've seen way too many people who are just, they don't want to listen, they don't want to talk, they just want to say, I'm right, and screw the rest of you. That's where it really doesn't go anywhere. I mean,
or at least unintelligent and polite. Like, instead of unintelligent and angry.
Yeah.
That's just like, can't deal with that. Unintelligent and polite, it's like, that'll be a short conversation. I'll be like, well, let's talk about the weather or something. But at least that person doesn't get, at least then you're not pissed off about talking to this other person. Like, I guess that's important to me. It's like, respect one another, regardless what your opinion is or how intelligent you are. At least be respectful of one another.
Hey, that works for me. Mm-hmm. All right, Mike, you got anything else for us this week?
I think that's about it. We do have a website up and running, IrreverentSkeptics.com. I think it's pretty much together now. I think it's looking good.
Yeah, the only things that I think we need to do is, like, I have to fix those pictures because they're all different sizes. Like, some of the pictures of the contributors are different sizes, and the color scheme on the theme, I wanted to jack with that a bit. Otherwise, I think, it's done.
Yeah. So we've got the last 3 videos. I know we've got a section with everything. And there's a YouTube channel. I forget the name of what we call it. Or what it is.
It's Irreverent Skeptics.
Okay.
It used to be under my name, but now it's under Irreverent Skeptics. Yeah.
So you can find it there every Saturday, right around noon Central Time. Jon Ownbey.
We always plan to start at noon and always start around 10 minutes late.
About 10, yeah. And then we get confused after that, and then there's a dick joke.
The intro never goes right. We have yet to get the intro down right. Everyone's supposed to introduce themselves, but it never works.
It never works. But,
I think it never will.
Yeah. And we get Jon Ownbey, our host, and Grand Poobah, Brandy Madison, Erno Matilla.
Martia? I don't know. I feel like a total dick because I've been communicating with this guy forever and I cannot pronounce his last name. Brandy and I decided it's going to be like Madonna. We're just going to call him Erno. He's just going to have a single name like Cher, Madonna, or Prince, or Bono. Okay. Like, it's Erno.
Erno. Carlton George, Michael McElroy, Dumbass from the Dumbass Media Empire, and Mike Bowler, bringing whatever topic, skeptical, religious, whatever topic. Do we have a topic for next week?
Yeah, it's First World Problems.
First World Problems.
Coming up this week.
We'll be talking about First World Problems. And check us out.
Cool. Well then, that's all there is. I'm afraid we've run out of things to talk about for this week, but never fear, we'll be back in another week with another show. Thanks to our special guest, Jon Ownbey, for sitting in with us. Please go check out the Irreverent Skeptics. All the links are in the show notes for this episode. And speaking of show notes, remember that you can see all the links for all the stories we do each and every week at our website. And you can interact with us on Google+, Facebook, and Twitter, as well as listen to our podcast through iTunes and Stitcher Radio. So until next week, take care and stay skeptical.
Good night, everyone.
Adios.
You've been listening to the Bitchspot Report podcast with your hosts, Cephas and Mike. You can follow us on Twitter respectively at Bitchspot1 or at JDRipper1962. Please visit our website at report.jdragononline.com. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/The B-Spot Report. We're also on Google+, iTunes, and YouTube. Those links are at our website. We'd love to hear from you. You can reach us via email at report@jdragononline.com. Comments, ideas, and suggestions are always welcome. We'll be back next week with another fun and fact-filled episode. Please tune in again.